Yesterday on Lunch Money, we tried to figure out what President Obama knew, when he knew it, and whether he gave the go-ahead to U.S. surveillance of foreign allies. Well, today, we're still trying to figure it out because the answers so far say two very different things. The National Security Agency, the agency Edward Snowden told the world was collecting data on phone calls made by American citizens and leaders of U.S. allied nations. Well, the NSA came out over the weekend and said President Obama did not know about surveillance of foreign leaders until recently. Not the case, however, if you ask another group of intelligence officials. Both current and former staff members of the NSA and other intelligence agencies, frankly, tell the LA Times, quote, the White House and State Department signed off on surveillance targeting phone conversations of friendly foreign leaders. And now they're angry, saying the president has thrown them under the bus while he tries to distance himself from Snowden's revelations.
We're conducting a review. We are mindful that some of these disclosures have caused tension in our relationships. We deal with those issues through diplomatic channels, and we are in direct communication with a number of countries on these matters.
Well, a German newspaper first revealed the apparent snooping on Chancellor Merkel's phone calls. The Spanish, they're getting into the action too. The newspaper El Mundo reported yesterday that the NSA had intercepted 60 million telephone and internet communications from Spain earlier this year. Well, now the country's top public prosecutor investigating whether the U.S. intelligence workers broke Spanish laws. U.S. Ambassador James Costos was summoned yesterday to discuss the NSA allegations. Now, after the meeting, he issued a statement saying, quote, ultimately, the United States needs to balance the important role that these programs play in protecting our national security and protecting the security of our allies with legitimate privacy concerns. Lawmakers from Europe, well, they were here in the U.S. yesterday. They want some changes, too.
I think confidence is damaged.
Trust has to be rebuilt. We need to figure out why this kind of mass surveillance activity is happening and what kind of trust needs to be rebuilt.
Okay, Arizona Senator John McCain, you can count him among the displeased.
This information, which is damaging to our reputation and our relations with other countries throughout the world, is something that we have to make sure doesn't happen again. This information should never have been made public the way that it has.
There's still one man that's on the receiving end of all the finger pointing.
One of the reasons why all this is coming to surface is because of the Snowden case. It used to be that people were only given information that directly applied to their job. Questions have to be asked. How did Mr. Snowden get all this information? Why did he get all that information? Who was the contractor that hired him? What was the background check that he went through that qualified him to have access to all of this information? We need a thorough review as to who has what information, who gets clearances, and how they get clearances. And I would remind you that Snowden didn't work directly for the federal government. He worked for a contractor that works with the federal government.
Snowden, we should mention, has received a lot of praise from other ex-spies. This is a video of him earlier this month in Russia. A group of former intelligence professionals awarded him the Sam Adams Award for Integrity and Intelligence. So what does a former head of the CIA think about Mr. Snowden?
The damage here was extensive. The most damage that I have ever seen from a disclosure. Two, in my mind, this guy is not a hero. He has violated the law. He has violated the trust that was placed in him.
That's Mike Morrell, former acting head of the CIA, speaking with our Peter Cook at a Bloomberg government event earlier this morning. He says the spy scandal isn't all bad.
One of the good things that has come out of this is that it is a good thing for an organization or a community of organizations to scrub themselves, to take a hard look at what it is they're doing, and does everything make sense in terms of what they're doing. And that's exactly what the President is doing, that's exactly what Congress is doing, and that's exactly what the President has asked our review group to do. The other thing I would tell you about Mr. Snowden, because I do know that there are people who consider him a whistleblower, I do know that there are people who consider him a hero. I would only add this. If he is who he says he is, which is a patriot trying to protect the basic values of Americans, then he should come home.
So the intelligence agency is as split on Mr. Snowden as it is on the facts of what President Obama knew and when he knew it. Senator Dianne Feinstein said yesterday she was told by the White House that data collection on our allies will not continue, quote unquote. The White House did not comment on that statement.